Hey, Bloomington Normal, and welcome back to Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm your host, Kev, and do I have a show for you guys today? It is Father's Day, and you could be watching this amazing Father's Day episode on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or Rumble. I'm live on all of those. Speechless with Kev Phares. We're on Cities 92.9's personal pages and everything. We have so much to cover, guys. Starting with Father's Day, we got Pritzker banning book bans. We're going to talk all about that, even maybe a little bit about what happened at the White House and what Biden's been doing recently. All of that on more on this week's episode of Speechless on Cities 92.9. Real quick, guys, I do want to remind everybody this show is brought to you by Paul Garcia Productions out of Normal, Illinois. Paul Garcia Productions creates stunning and effective videos and commercials for Central Illinois businesses. Visit paulgarciaproductions.com to learn more and help your business get more business. Everybody, I love Paul. Check out his information in the description. We're going to cover a lot of stuff, though, guys, today. And I want to start off, like I said, it's Father's Day, right? I want to start off with a quote. And I think this has encapsulates a lot about the importance of fathers in the home and being involved in their children's life. This quote, as you guys probably heard it, hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. It's a cycle. And I firmly believe that this is connected directly to whether or not we have a crisis of fatherlessness. Because how do you get weak men? When fathers aren't in the home. And I've been told, I'm not going to just claim it out myself, and it might sound like I'm a little cocky, but some tell me that I am stronger than some other men in my generation. And I want everybody to have an exact reason as to why. And so that's why I'm going to bring on my next guest, probably one of my favorite guests I will ever have on. This is my own father, Michael Phares. How's it going, Daddy-O?
Good afternoon, Kevin.
So I just wanted to bring you on and talk all about just being a dad, because obviously, thank God at this point in my life, I am not currently a father. And so I figured you could give some insight, because nobody's really an expert at being a parent. But I figured you could give the listeners some insight as to where I came from. What are your thoughts on being a dad? We're going to start off simply. What is being a father to you? What does that mean to you?
Oh, man. First of all, I can never be as hyped up as you are. It's a Sunday afternoon, so I may be a little slow at this, but first of all, it's different for every kid. Okay. And the second thing is we got a great mother here too. So I do a lot of satisfying as well as collaborating with her on what goes on. But to be a dad is to be there for support, is to be there for, and support can be defined in a lot of different ways, whether that be emotional, mental, or financial as well too. Somebody to go to when they're not getting the answer from mom they want, to see how well they, someone to be there, and as a safety net for some things, and it could be financial, it could be emotional as well too. And I guess it's always knowing that there's a home to come to where they were, appreciated and loved, and they'll always want to come back to, because time will go on. So I don't know. It changes as the kids gets older. The reason for being a dad, 20 years for you ago from where you're at today is two different things. You're still ornery and can be stubborn in their own way. You've never changed there. But anyway, it's a long answer to a nice short question. What I think as of right now, sitting in the backyard of my home.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So obviously, I mean, like we don't live in the same house really anymore. So what are you doing for your Father's Day? How are you enjoying it?
Well, it was more just being able to play out in the backyard. Mom bought all these flowers yesterday. So as you know, when I travel, I won't be here all, sometime, and I can't get those things planted. So I got to get them done now. And she must have bought like 30 different plants. So I'm planning those things to get those things done. And I think we've going for a bike ride through this area anyway, and then come back. We'll cook on the grill and just kind of sit out on the deck.
Absolutely. And so for everybody who doesn't know, I want people to get to know me a little bit. And the best way to get to know me is to talk to somebody that has been with me since the beginning. So you could say something like that. But you raised both me. I'm a dude, and I have two sisters. What would you say is the difference between raising a boy versus raising girls? And don't get too into the details of what a bad kid I was.
Oh, well, then it'll be a short answer. Quite honestly, if I knew that answer, I could write a book and probably sell millions of copies of it too. But there are differences. Um, just in I don't know, in the way that they are at a younger age versus an older age. It kind of depends on when independence kicks in, or something like that. But you know, in today's world, they'd say that there's not a big difference, but I still believe that there is. When you raise a boy, they very much back to their moms in many cases. There's always reason for the moms and the dads, but they have a tendency to be emotional. And the girls, of course, they love their dad because he'll give them anything just by a smile, and they get in more arguments with moms. And that's just my experience. I'm not saying that is true anywhere else, but it certainly is here.
Totally get that one. Because I know I lived it with you. But I wanna ask too, because a lot of people ask me, like I get the question, I get this question all the time. I get asked like, how did you get so political, Kevin? Like you're like you were all into this politics stuff. Like your parents must be in it, right? You must be. Tell the viewers and the listeners a little bit more about the how I was raised with, I mean, with no politics really, and somehow came through it.
Well, first of all, I'm not going to say there's no politics. It's just, we have our own views on politics and the way that we communicate it here. So I'm not, I don't want to say with no, that's not fair.
Mhm.
But, no, we did not have a activist type of a approach about it anyway, nor push it on anybody else, nor did we want to share, or it was just it's our choice, no big deal. Um, so, and that hasn't changed from the time you were born in any way. So you going off to school is really kind of fun where you started finding your independence and something that you had a passion for anyway, and a passion enough to start a few things, start a campaign down there, start a new club within the university. That's admirable to do, considering, as you said, a veiled politics approach
Mhm.
here at the Phares home of you growing up, if that's fair to say.
Absolutely. And I just want everybody to know because like if people can't believe it, like you're on the radio, you have a YouTube channel, you do all this stuff in politics and we really didn't, I mean, it wasn't until maybe high school that we as a family started talking about politics a little bit more once Kelly got her job, and everything like that. So I wanted everybody to know I'm not blowing smoke up their butt when I say I was not raised in a super political family or anything like that. Dad, a little bit more. I want to talk about in the role of being a father. What from your experience as a son, and then transitioning into the role of a father. What kinds of things did you learn as a son or what kinds of things would you wish you have known when you were becoming a father, in terms of the role of becoming a father? I hope that made sense.
Before I answer that, I mean, all these politicians and people of influence you speak to and interview along, are these questions as hard for them too? As, I mean, these are so philosophical.
Well, they have a lot more media prep than you do, Dad. So
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Hey, Dad, can you be on the radio in 30 minutes? Uh, well, what does it mean to be a dad?
yeah, basically. And what like if you had advice for yourself when you were becoming a
Oh,
dad, something you wish you had told yourself.
oh, what'd you say?
My
Uh,
mom influencing him right now, whispering
well,
in
and she's always got good things, um, how financially expensive they are.
his ear. I ask this deep question and you go, it's about money.
And well, it is. It is kind of funny in that respect. But um, my father died pretty early too, so I never got to really know him other than me growing up, and just to the point before I even had kids or anything too. Um, but it's at least being there for the kids and showing support for what they really want to do, and at least being somewhat involved in what they're doing and what their passion is, whether you agree with it or not, and that was true for all the kids. But again, there's no, I've heard this on some movie somewhere, but there was no instruction to get with the first kid that comes along, and so you kind of have to, see what's right for your family and for your kids, and just live by the values that you grew up with, or grew into, for that matter as well too. I don't know. That's it, Kev. It's all the best I can do with that
I
question.
get it. No, I get it. I get it. We'll get some low balls here as we end out this segment. I want to ask simply, what is your favorite part of being a dad?
Oh, well, that's easy. When we all come together as a family, now that everybody's growing up, that's hands down. And then all of us do a shot of Jaeger at the same time. Those things those are great.
Yeah, we all that's a big family tradition for us, for everybody. We do shots of Jaeger on holidays. It's the way we wake up in the morning. Um, we have a lot of
Well,
fun with that. Well, what would you say is the most challenging part of being a father?
still thinking about your kids as if they, when they're out on their own, or whether going off to university, or going off to their first job, is still how much you want to know what they're doing. How are they safe? Um, are they okay? Just are they safe? I guess is what it is. Are they making the right decisions? Are they balancing their checkbook? So
Yeah.
yeah, the list can go deeper.
Absolutely. I get it. There are a lot of challenges. And then kind of to end this all out, because I'm going to transition after we get you off here, because I know that you have probably some drinking and other fun things to do. But I want to know, what do you think? Because you obviously, I'm our youngest in our family, and so you raised me mainly through like the early 2000s. Um, how do you think, from what you can see, has parenting changed from when you were raising me as a kiddo to raising kiddos now?
Oh, well, you can say the result of some things is technology, or how much more we spread ourselves in diversity. And those are things that you didn't have to be aware of 20 years ago, starting to raise our age children, even almost 30 years ago for our age children, or banning books. It's kind of like there was no book banning going on at that time. And and the way that we managed ourselves in schools, and the education that you could get out of public education in most places anyway. So those are all things to think about when you're raising a kid. Is what kind of education are they getting? Does it go with the values that we have? Um, and is that what we're going to see for the next 12 years early anyway, before they go on to school? I think it's completely changed, and that's both in the rural as well as the urban areas. So yeah, I think it's harder what they get exposed to at such early ages. And we've been saying that for a long time, but it just keeps getting shorter.
Yep. And that's why I was saying, even in our last hour with David and in the show previous, I mean, you really got to be on top of it as a parent nowadays. Like you gotta be ready to go to bat for your kids. You can't trust the institutions nearly as much as I feel like you used to be able to.
Or other people, or other people have.
Absolutely. Well, Dad, thank you so much for joining me today. Happy Father's Day. I love you.
Thank you, son. Love you too. Have a good afternoon.
Yep. Have fun. And somebody said in the comment section, Dad looks like he needs a beer. So go grab yourself a beer. Just make sure it's
Yeah.
not a Bud Light. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Love you, Dad. Talk to you later.
Bye. Bye, Kev.
Bye. Well, everybody, that was my own dad. Everybody, if you're just tuning in, this is Speechless. I'm your host, Kev Phares. And I figured, you know what? It is Father's Day. I should bring on my dad to talk to him. And he just gave some fun insight as to who I was kind of a little bit as a kid, how I mean, no one is an expert at being a father. No one knows exactly the right way to do it. If you think you do, and if you think you have some wisdom on how to do it, feel free to text or call in 309-451-9299. I'd love to know what your advice is. Again, I don't think anybody's an expert. I don't think anybody has the exact right way to father or to parent, period. But please, please, please call in and let me know, what have you learned from your own dad? What have you learned from being a dad? What have you learned from maybe being the wife of what the role of a father is supposed to be? Text or call in 309-451-9299 or leave it in the comments section on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, any of that. I want to hear from you guys. I'm 22 years old. I'm going to be a dad within the next decade. I'm telling you, I know it to be true. I am going to be a dad within the next decade. And I need your advice. I get my dad's advice, and that's one person, and he's great, and he's helped me a lot along the way, but I want to know what you have to say. So again, that text or call number is 309-451-9299. Everybody, make sure you call your dad today. And if you can't call him because God forbid he's passed away, or maybe you have a different unconventional relationship with your father, say a prayer, because that's still a way that you can communicate with loved ones, no matter what. Say a prayer. Thank you guys so much. We'll be right back with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal coming up. What is the role of the father that's supposed to play, and what exactly are the problems that are caused by fatherlessness? We're going to talk all about that coming up soon here on Speechless. Don't forget to text or call in 309-451-9299. We'll be back soon. Okie dokie, everybody. I see that we are here on YouTube and Facebook. We got some people watching there. I'm sure I got some people on Rumble too. I'll check in on there. Hope we got some fun people tuning in. Don't forget to leave comments and everything. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We got a lot more to cover here, and so thankful that my dad was able to come on. I hope you guys like that. I thought it was fun. I am a little bit hoarse today in my voice. I've been at there's a big music festival in Central Illinois that I went to. It's called Tailgates and Tall Boys. Had a lot of fun with that. Tailgates and Tall Boys. It's got country music a little bit last night. So I got my hoodie here, Jelly Roll. Love Jelly Roll. Really, honestly, he has an American story to an extent, so he grew up coming from very destitute circumstances, got popped for drug dealing and for assault and robbery when he was like 15, hit a really low point in his life, and he hit multiple. He's a bigger guy, struggles with weight, struggles with a lot of health issues. But at some point, a little bit later in life, after he had served his early 20s in prison, he ended up finding God. And now he's a very famous musician, a little bit of rap, a little bit of country, and a lot of rock and roll too. And I think he's really great. He has a great song called Save Me. That really speaks to the idea of looking and of needing help and asking for help. But yeah, so I was at that concert and everything. Jelly Roll, which size? Yeah, right there. You can see my fun little hoodie I got. But let's look at some of these comments here. Raven, thanks so much for commenting and everything. My dad is pretty cool. I love him a lot. So unconventional. Happy Father's Day. Thank you so much. We'll be enjoying License. I saw you were here at one point. Yo, 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 yo. Who else? JRC1 said Proverbs 22:6. Let's see what Proverbs. I don't know that one off the top of my head. Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Very good one. Yeah, I don't really know Jelly Roll's political views. I'm going to touch on some things with some artists later, all about. I'm going to talk about like separating an individual like from like an artist from the art. I think that's really important. But I don't know what his political views are. I kind of assume that he's probably a little bit more conservative, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't know based on his upbringing, but his upbringing is very much a conservative American story coming from awful circumstances, finding God and promoting yourself through God's word. Jelly Roll, I think, is a perfect example of a conservative upbringing. We're about to come back here live though, guys. And we are back with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. This is a shorter segment, but I want to start off again this segment as it's Father's Day. I'm your host, Phares, with this quote. I love this quote. I've heard it from multiple people. Riley Gaines on my interview with her last week mentioned this quote. And I just think it's so important when we talk about the role of a father, right? Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. And weak men create hard times. The reason why I love this quote and why I think it has to do with Father's Day is because if you look at it, the impact that fatherlessness has, those who do not have fathers, or those who do not have strong fathers, and fathers that live a biblical lifestyle and raise their children up right. Somebody in the comments section of my YouTube sent this quote, Bible quote, Proverbs 22:6. It's JRC1. Thanks for sending this in. He said, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Proverbs 22:6. A great message that I think goes with my other quote, because fathers play such a crucial role in creating strong men. And it's fathers when it says hard times create strong men. You want to know part of why that is? Because when someone is in a hard time, when a child is in a hard time and they have a father, or at least a father figure, to guide them through that hard time, to learn what resilience is, that's how we create the strong men. And then good times, when everybody is in a time of complacency, in which fathers might just say, "Well, they're okay. Their school's got them. Everybody else can kind of do my job." That's when you create weak people, weak men. And that's kind of the time we're in a transition period right now, I believe, in which we've had a lot of weak men. We've had good times, especially under the Trump presidency. We had good times, economic prosperity, doing well, and people got weak. And people got weak. And we had a government that enabled that weakness. I want to go on a little bit while I do have some more time. I think I might be coming up on a break soon, but I do want to remind everybody, please, 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 if you have stories or advice on it, what it's like to be a father, please, please, please call in at 309-451-9299. Again, that number is 309-451-9299. I want to know what you got to say, because everything that I'm coming up with here is based on secondhand knowledge. I'm not a dad. But I thank all fathers out there who are active in their children's life, because in the next segment, I'm going to talk exactly about the consequences of fatherlessness and how fatherlessness impacts the individual as well as society, because it's an epidemic unlike any other, really. Fatherlessness. You'd think it's not the same as a drug addiction or COVID. The consequences of fatherlessness are generational and can have even a larger impact than those other stripes. But everybody, let me know, like I said, if you have stories about being a father, advice about being a father, or something you've learned from your own father. 309-451-9299, or leave it in the comments section on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Rumble. Yes, please, please, please check those out. We'll be back soon with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Okay, we are off air now. Still obviously live everywhere else. I got tons of articles and stuff, but I really wanted to give a good amount of time to Father's Day because I think it's important. And I feel like a lot of times Father's Day can fly under the radar, especially recently. Um, Father's Day is just, I mean, it's at an interesting time because you usually right around near the beginning of summer. Some people, depending on where you live, might not be out of school yet, might be just getting out of school, whatever. And so it can fly under the radar. And just men nowadays, people, there is not as much of a care about men. And women, obviously, we need to care about women. I talked, I mean, that was what most of my show last week was about with the Riley Gaines interviews. We need to care about women. But a lot of times men are just expected to sit down, shut up, and be the stone, be the rock for everything. And they can't, I mean, it's not easy always being a dude. And I'm the villain. I mean, like, I'm always the villain, not just me, but people who look and identify as people like me, we're the villain. Straight white guys. Oh man. Worst in the world to most. There are TikToks, there are real videos of liberal women saying that they have a real strong hatred for just straight white men, period. What did I do? What did I do? Crazy people. Ugh, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you aren't already. I think I made it for this video. You guys, if you want to comment, you got to be subscribed. So I do appreciate you guys for subscribing. I just hit 500 subscribers. I have just within the last few days, and thank you guys so much. each and every one of you for watching, commenting, sharing, liking, subscribing, everything. Thank you so much. That was a big milestone for me, and I can't believe how quick it happened. To just about a little over 3 months, 90 days ish of live streaming, and I'm already at 500 subscribers. You guys are the best. Thank you guys so much for supporting me, supporting the mission. If you want to support in even further ways, obviously always at the bottom my Venmo and Cash App, so I can keep trying to invest more and more and more. I'd really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Unconventional. Thank you for sharing this. Fatherlessness is something I'm going to tackle in the next segment. I think it's really important. Um, it's an important topic to discuss because of the crucial impacts that fathers have on society and on children. Period. Okay, just making sure I have all my notes pulled up here. We will be back soon live on the radio. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am your host, Phares. If I look at all tired or anything, I am a little bit. I'll be honest. Like I said, I was at concerts all the last few days. Tailgates and Tall Boys. Saw Kane Brown, Jelly Roll, Bailey Zimmerman. Saw Nickelback last night a little bit. Had a lot of fun. And I love concerts, man. I'm going to see, my sister got me Morgan Wallen tickets for this next week. Thank God for her. So her and I are going to see Morgan Wallen, Hardy, Bailey Zimmerman, and Ernest at Wrigley Field next week. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'll let you guys know all about it. I love my music. So we will be back soon. Thank you guys for tuning in, especially if you're on Facebook too, watching me. I believe Cities 92.9's Facebook. We got a few viewers there. Feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking about the show. And I got a great audience on YouTube, and you guys are awesome. Thank you. But let me know what you're thinking on Cities Facebook too. Or some people are also watching on my Speechless with Kev Phares Facebook page. And in that group, thank you, everybody. Don't forget, no matter where you are, if you can go subscribe to my YouTube, the at symbol is right up there at Speechless Kev. Go subscribe to my YouTube. It's really what I'm trying to build up right now. But thank you guys, no matter where you're tuning in for. We'll be back here in just about a minute or so. The greatest father is God. I think that's absolutely important. Absolutely. And I think it's so important to talk about how people find father figures too. I see the Raven. I know like you didn't have a father growing up either. And I can't imagine how hard that is. I really can't. And because of the importance of just having a dad with you, and having a father figure. But that's the thing is God the Father, going through the Bible, going through um and having somebody there at a minimum, God as a father figure, a person to guide you along your journey of adolescence and trying to learn right from wrong, but also having a defender. I think I was talking in our last show from 1 to 3, David Paul Blumenstein show, about how the role of a father is really being a defender. You got to defend. And we're going to get into that right here. Hey, and we are back with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal, but not just Bloomington Normal. Now we're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Rumble. Yes, we are on all of those. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am your host, Kev Phares, 22-year-old college student at ISU, but also trying to be the biggest researcher that we can so that we can learn all about the consequences of the actions of those in power. And so there's a big power that we talk about today, and that's the power of being a father, right? I have amazing commenters on YouTube that are letting me know all about their own experience with a father, without a father. And I think there's been a few quotes, and maybe I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, but some things I'm learning from people that I think are great. And one of them was, there actually is a how-to book, a perfect how-to book on how to be a father, and it's actually called the Holy Bible. And I think that's amazing. I mean, like was mentioned earlier, uh, Proverbs 22:5, I believe it was, that that stresses the importance of raising a child to have a strong moral compass, to have a strong set of beliefs. And it's very important. The impact a father has is so consequential on how a child is raised. And so I'm going to go through, this is from fathers.com. This is the consequences of fatherlessness. We always talk about how fatherlessness is so bad. 6 consequences of fatherlessness that you can pinpoint with statistics. So the first being poverty. Children in father-absent homes are almost 4 times more likely to be poor. In 2011, 12% of children in married couple families were living in poverty, compared to 44% of children in mother-only families. So 30% more likely to be in poverty without a father. Number 2, drug and alcohol abuse. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services states that, quote, fatherless children are at a dramatically greater risk of drug and alcohol abuse. There is significantly more drug use among children who do not live with a mother or father, according to the community context of family structure and adolescent drug use. Here's the thing, is when you do not have a person to guide you, to say, here is how you cope with your issues. And this is not trying to disparage single mothers. Single mothers are great. Single mothers do amazing work because oftentimes it is not by their own choice that they are single mothers. It is because you have weak men that walk out on their families. But that child is lacking that extra 50% of guidance in their life. And so they end up turning, when they need to cope, instead of having somebody to talk to, somebody to give them that advice, to be a guider for them, instead of having somebody to say, hey, God, even if not me as a father, a God can be there. God, the Father, the ultimate father, to be there for you. When you don't have a father that can necessarily push you in that right direction, they're more likely to go to drugs and alcohol. Number 3, physical and emotional health. A study of over almost 2,000 children aged 3 and older living with a residential father or father figure found that children living with married biological parents had significantly fewer externalizing and internalizing behavioral problems than children living with at least one non-biological parent. Children of single-parent homes are more than twice as likely to commit suicide. Again, children of a single-parent home are more than twice as likely to commit suicide. Data from 3 waves of the Fragile Families study was used to examine the prevalence and effects of mothers' relationships changes between birth and age 3 on their children's well-being. Children born to single mothers show higher levels of aggressive behavior than children born to married mothers. Living in a single mother household is equivalent to experiencing 5.25 partnership transitions. That's the thing, is so in a single mother household, again, props to single mothers. They are amazing in dealing with, many of them are amazing at dealing with the circumstances that are handed to them. But when you have a single mother, maybe they're dating and they are also have a child and everything, that creates a lot of instability on a child's life, a lot of unknowns, and thus has a multitude of health and behavioral effects that make it difficult for that child to understand what a stable living environment is. And it creates instability further and further and further in their life than having a 2-parent household, having that father there, having that guider there. Number 4, educational achievement. Children in grades 7 through 12 who have lived with at least one biological parent, youth that experience divorce, separation, or non-union birth reported lower grade point averages than those who have always lived with both biological parents. So so it is shown statistically that you are more likely to achieve better grades if you had both your parents in the household. And I think that has a lot to do, like it said, parents that didn't experience divorce, separation, or non-union birth. Because of that instability that's created, you have so many other things on your mind about, like, oh my gosh, am I going to have a new dad at home tonight? Am I going to have all these other possible issues that come with the instability of not having a 2-parent household? Along with that, 71% of high school dropouts are fatherlessness. That number is staggering there. 71% of high school dropouts are fatherless. Fatherless children have more trouble academically, scoring poorly on tests of reading, math, and thinking skills. Children from father-absent homes are more likely to be truant from school, more likely to be excluded from school, more likely to leave school at age 16, and less likely to attain academic and professional qualifications in adulthood. Yes, fatherlessness is directly correlated with academic success. And we know academic success also translates into future success further, career success, financial success. There's a strong correlation between not having a father in a home and just having a poor lifestyle for your entire life. Number 5, crime. Adolescents living in intact families are less likely to engage in delinquency than their peers living in non-intact families. Compared to peers in intact families, adolescents in single-parent families and step families were more likely to engage in delinquency. This relationship appeared to be operating through differences in family processes, parental involvement, supervision, monitoring, and parent-child closeness between intact and non-intact families. A study using data from the National Longitudinal Study of Adolescent Health explored the relationship between family structure and risk of violent acts in neighborhoods. The results revealed that if the number of fathers is low in a neighborhood, then there's an increase in acts of teen violence. The statistical data showed that a 1% increase in the proportion of single-parent families in a neighborhood is associated with a 3% increase in the adolescents' level of violence. In other words, adolescents who live in neighborhoods with lower proportions of single-parent families and who reported higher levels of family integration commit less violence. So if you have two parents, you're less likely to commit violent crime. Children aged 10 to 17 living with two biological or adoptive parents were significantly less likely to experience sexual assault, child maltreatment, other types of major violence, and non-victimization types of adversity, and were less likely to witness violence in their families compared to peers living in single-parent families and step families. A study of 109 juvenile offenders indicated that family structure significantly predicts delinquency. So you guys want to talk about okay, financial success, academic success, physical and emotional health. If those didn't already convince you the necessity for coming at this fatherlessness epidemic, then crime. Do you want to keep your streets safe? Advocate for fathers to be in the home. Period. Society would be a billion times better if we had a government that encouraged a two-parent household. Look, I know that each and every circumstance is difficult. I understand that divorce in some ways might be what's best for the parents. But what that does to a child, consider that. Consider that intensely as more. Consider your child's academic, physical, and criminal before. Because, look, maybe the divorce is necessary for the child's health, but you need to make sure. We have a government right now that says if you're a single mother, you're going to get paid more from the government than if you stay with your father. We are incentivizing. We have a government that incentivizes this fatherlessness. And by incentivizing fatherlessness, we are incentivizing crime, lower academic achievement, poor physical and emotional health, and poverty. And you want to know what else? Number 6, sexual activity in teen pregnancy. A study using a sample of 1,400 rural Southern adolescents, 851 of them females, 558 males, age 11 to 18, investigated the correlation between father absence and self-reported sexual activity. The results revealed that adolescents in father absence homes were more likely to report being sexually active compared to adolescents living with their fathers. Being raised by a single mother raises the risk of teen pregnancy, marrying with less than a high school degree, and forming a marriage where both partners have less than a high school degree. So here's the thing, everybody, is do you want to know what one of the biggest problems, I talk on this show about how we have people that are distorting truth with the transgender movement. We have the progressive left that is trying to make everybody dependent on government. And here is one of the biggest ways that they are doing it. My biggest Father's Day message to everybody is we need fathers in the home. And no, maybe it doesn't always have to be a biological father. I know people that have better relationships with a step parent than they do with their biological parent. And their step parent ended up being that figure that was crucial in their development. And that's perfectly fine. I'm not trying to discourage that. But two-parent households, and especially having a active and engaged father, is crucial to that. That's what we learn from these 6 consequences of fatherlessness. Fatherlessness causes poverty, causes drug and alcohol abuse, causes physical and emotional health issues, causes educational achievement issues, causes crime. It causes sexual activity in teen pregnancy. And that's a big one, sexual activity in teen pregnancy, because that creates the cycle. That creates the cycle is if you don't have a father and you have sexual activity in teen pregnancy, then oftentimes the parent relationship deteriorates from that younger age too. And we have a cycle of that fatherlessness and a cycle of creating all those problems. We do. And so I got to take a quick break here before we end out the hour. But I want everybody to know how crucial the issue of fatherlessness is and how we need to be. That's one of the biggest things we need to be coming at. In the next segment, briefly, we're going to get into the role of a father. What we see is the role of a father. And I'd love, if anybody was interested, to text or call in at 309-451-9299. What do you think the role of a father is? What was your father's role in your life? Let me know. Let me know. I'm only 22. How much do I really know? I'd love to learn from you guys too. Please text or call in 309-451-9299. Want to know what you got to say. We will be back more soon, though, with more soon on Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Okie dokie. Let's see what we got going on in the comment section here. Hope you guys enjoyed that. My philosophy is any man can be a father, but only a special man can be a dad. Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, like it doesn't always have to be a biological father, right? Like it's best if it can all work out that way. But people can have father figures. I was talking with DPB during his show about like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the second movie. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Maybe it's just a young people thing for in some cases, but um that movie is about so Peter Quill, his dad abandoned his mom when his mom died of cancer. And so it's a superhero movie. He ends up going to find his biological father, never really had any kind of a relationship with him. Um, uh, sorry, I just got a text from a heckler. But he didn't have any relationship with him. And then he goes and finds his dad, realizes that his dad is a selfish prick, basically. And then understands that there's so many other people that helped shape his life in such a better way that it would have been worse for him with his biological father. And in some cases that's true. Like it's so unconventional. Like there's no one right way to do it, right? To be a dad or to be that father figure. But that's the thing is people that need it, be that figure for them. And you could usually tell which ones need it. It's the people that are struggling. People that have gotten themselves into hard times. And they need that help. So we're going to get back here soon with more Speechless. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you to anybody on Facebook or YouTube, anywhere that's tuning in. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share. I really do appreciate it. Just hit 500 subscribers on YouTube. Even if you're not watching me on YouTube, I'd love it if at some point you could go and subscribe to my YouTube. Right up there is the at Speechless Kev. You can just look up Speechless with Kev Phares, like the title right there. And you can, and I do off-air content. I do stuff that's not always on the radio, so you can check out even more stuff that I do there. I cut up my live streams in case you didn't get to hit the whole thing. You can watch shorter versions of it too. But we're going to be back soon here. Talk about the role of a father. What do you guys think the role of a father is? I got some ideas. And I'm excited to share. And then the second hour, oh my God, I got some great stuff for the second hour. For the second hour, we got Biden, some stuff that he's been doing. I got Pritzker's book bans, the American Civil Liberties Union. You guys are going to want to hear what they did. Oscars going woke. Not that they weren't already, but we got some great stuff for the second hour. So make sure you stay tuned, like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you think. I see Kurt here has some great ideas and we're going to bring those up and what he believes the role of a father is. And we're going to get all into it. So we got about a minute left until I come back, just about. My next, I get bumper music on the radio for people that listen on the radio. I don't play it on my streams because it gets me copyright violations and stuff. Could get the whole video taken down for like 30 seconds of a song. I know it's crazy, but my next song is like, "Ain't Nothing Gonna Break My Stride," and I love that song. I think it's great because it talks about resilience. It's the whole idea that like, ain't nothing gonna slow me down. Whoa, I gotta keep on moving. So it's kind of a meme song. Like a lot of people think it's kind of funny. It sounds funny and everything, but I think its message is just amazing. I think resilience is one of the most important things to have nowadays. I see so many people that have the slightest uh, inconvenience in their life and they break down and they can't handle it. So resilience, I think resilience is a key step to being successful in this world nowadays. I think a lot of people used to have it. I think a lot of people realize that you can just move forward and that things aren't always as bad as you make them out to be in your head. But nowadays, that is a top tier skill to be able to realize. So we're gonna be back here in about 5 seconds, guys. I really love that song. I was just talking about it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Rumble on my live stream. I knew this was my next song, Break My Stride. And I love it because it's a song. I know it kind of sounds funny and everything, and it sounds really happy too. But the reason I love it is because it sends a message of resilience that no matter what you've been through, nothing's going to break my stride. Nothing's going to slow me down. I got a mission and I got to achieve it. And that's my job here at Speechless is I have a mission to get these important messages out. And especially my last hour, talking about fatherlessness, talking about having a father in a home, the importance of having a father in a home and messages and what is the role of a father is something that's so important. And it's not red or blue. It's not conservative or liberal. If you can't get behind the idea of incentivizing a two-parent household, then you're just simply a bad person. Because the data and evidence to show the importance of having a father in a home, and having a two-parent household, and a conventional, to an extent, a conventional family. Yes, you could have a step parent that takes over a father figure that might not necessarily be a biological father. Yes, there are unconventional ways, but having essentially a mother and a father in the home, mother figure and a father figure, is so crucial to child development. But now I want to get into, as we end out my first hour of my show and end out kind of the Father's Day portion of my show, I want to talk about what exactly is the role of a father. And so I got some comments here. And if you have an idea, feel free to text or call in 309 451 9299. We got about 5 minutes left in this segment 309 451 9299, or leave a comment on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble. But I see some here. And so Kurt on my YouTube says, respect your kids, listen openly, and always be honest with them. Intervene when you must, hold your ground on values, and expose your kids to good, virtuous people. Absolutely. I think teaching people or teaching your kids, and I think my parents did a really good job of this with me in identifying who is good for you and who is not is so key. And that's why I think exposing your kids to good, virtuous people is very important. And I think a lot of that comes from the church. My mom tells me, so I've been in a few relationships in my life, serious relationships, and they didn't work out for their own reasons. But my mom has always told me, I've never brought anybody home to meet her that's not a good person. Even my ex-girlfriends, great people, amazing people. And I wish no harm on it. We've done no harm to each other. It just didn't work out. But what that goes into is the idea of raising your children to be able to identify people that are good for them. And even more importantly, identify people that are bad for them. I think that is so important because that is what, once you're gone, sad day, I know, sad to think about, but when your child lives on as your legacy, you want to make sure that they're set up to be able to identify what is going to be good and bad for them and make those healthy decisions in terms of relationships and even beyond. One of my biggest things that I think, and I'm going to get to some more of the comments here, but I want to make sure it gets said. And I mentioned it briefly on David Paul Blumenstein's show, which I love David, 1 to 3 on Sundays on Cities 92.9, is the fact that I firmly believe that one of the biggest roles a father needs to play is being a defender, especially in today's day and age, right? Being a defender. And when I say defender, it's serious about that word. Like, I'm very particular about that word. It's a defender, because I don't want a father shouldn't necessarily be on the offense. He shouldn't be looking to start and instigate issues. That shouldn't be your role. You shouldn't be an offender. You shouldn't be a vengeful father either. You shouldn't be looking to gain vengeance or something on somebody. No, you want to be a defender, because when your child is being told that they have to stay home from school or they have to wear a mask all day at school, you want to defend your kid. When there are drag queens coming into your local library doing a story hour, and you know that's wrong, or you got even drag queens in your church, or a church that pushes anti-God messages of LGBTQ praise of courage or anything like that, you need to defend your kids. Get out of that church or put a referendum on that church. Verbally, obviously. When your kids have pornography in their school, like we've seen in places like Hayworth and across the nation, you got to defend your kids. You got to be a defender. That's what I think is so important, is being a defender of your children. I think that is probably one of the most important things. I see some other comments here. My friend Unconventional said, all fathers need someone in their lives to help them with sound advice. I think that's important too. Yes, understanding that fathers themselves need help. Not necessarily on that side of what the role is, but understanding that it's okay to ask for help as a man. And I think that's something that a lot of men struggle with, is being able to ask for help. And I think that's what the role of the mother and the wife is so crucial for. I think a few other important roles that I want to get to are a motivator. I think that's super important, is the idea of being a motivator. Being the person to teach, like I said at the very beginning of this segment, Break My Stride is that song. And I chose that song because of the message of resilience. A motivator and a teacher, a father should be, of that kind of resilience. As a dad, there are times where you're a helper, a coach, and a friend. But one of the biggest jobs you can have is to motivate your children. Daily productivity, healthy growth, motivating your children to do the right thing. To do the right thing and to do what's right for them and to know right from wrong. Everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful Father's Day. We have more to cover here in terms of Pritzker's ban on book bans, what that kind of actually means and why he did that. We got more talking about Biden is actually coming after your kids. No, like legitimately, he posted a video on Twitter where he said he claims a right to your own children. We're going to talk all about that and so much more here on Speechless on Cities 92.9. We'll be back for the second hour. I'm your host, Kev, and you're listening to Speechless. See you soon. Okie dokie, everybody. I got to take a seat here during this break. Hope you guys are enjoying the show today. Raven, I see you giving me some song advice, and I really do appreciate it. I am looking on Rumble too here. I don't see any comments on Rumble, but feel free to comment, guys. I'd also really appreciate it. Obviously, you guys go check out my Rumble and everything. I'm just sitting down right now. I'll stand up soon so you guys can see me better at some point. But I'd appreciate if you're not watching on YouTube right now, that at some point you would go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's right up there in the corner up there, Speechless Kev. Check that out. I think this is very important, JRC. A lot of people say, I want to leave a better world for my children. How about raising better children for the world? Absolutely. Absolutely. Like my parents, what they always said was, my parents said that they wanted their ultimate goal for me. I have some speeches where I'll find my old speeches. I have some videos of them where I was at political rallies and I talked about some of this kind of stuff. My parents would always say, their goal as a parent was to um, have my life be better off than theirs was. And that's what my grandparents' goal was too. So my grandparents, my mom always talks about my grandpa and grandma on my mom's side, no college degree, no nothing, right? My grandpa, he fought I believe, I'm not sure if he served in Korea, but I know he was serving at the time of Korea. He might have been mainly domestic, but I don't remember. Um, and then my grandma worked as like a nurse, right? No college degree or anything. She was like very like basic level. I believe she was a nurse for a little bit. My grandpa then, after he was done with the service, worked for AT&T, doing stuff that you didn't need a college degree for. And my mom would tell me that their whole goal, my grandma and grandpa, was for her to have a better life than they did and leave them with something better. And so it was my grandpa's goal to have all of his kids get a college degree. So my mom did. My mom got a college degree in teaching and education. And then she went home after she had gotten it. I think she graduated early, even from Illinois State University. She graduated early. She goes home and she goes, Dad, I don't really think I want to be a teacher. And I think she's like, I don't really like it very much. She did her whole student teaching and everything. And my grandpa tells her, he goes, well, too bad. That's what your degree's in. He was the motivator. Like we just talked about, he was the motivator. My mom went on to be a teacher. My grandpa actually helped her get her first job. Got her first job from a local janitor at a bar. My grandpa met him, knew him, and he set up a lead for my mom to get her first teaching job. My mom started teaching elementary school. And ended up becoming a teacher, an award-winning teacher for 40 years, almost 40. It was like 36 years was her career and her tenure. And my mom now lives in a higher tax bracket, does great things. Um, and I mean, obviously with the help of my dad, and they both have their own stories, but my mom's is one where it really shows her life and the life that she was able to create from the foundation her parents laid, achieved my grandparents' goal. They wanted to leave her better than what they had. And they did. Absolutely. And that's my mom's goal for me. And I think that's a very important goal. So I know that's a really long-winded way of responding to this comment here. I want to leave a better world for my children. Yes, you're right. It's not about just leaving a better world. Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to make a world a better place. But I think leaving your children better off than yourself creates that better world. And it goes right hand in hand with that. Raise better children. Just raise them better. And that's hard to say though, because I mean, like, it's not easy nowadays. Like, I asked my dad, like, and I can't imagine it's easy. Not that I know what it's like raising a child ever. I haven't. But it's not easy. It can't be. I mean, with all the crap that goes on today in schools, like, I'm not going to trust a public school. I'm sending my kid to private school, if not homeschooling them when I do have them, because I can't trust public schools anymore. I can't trust anything the government does. Like, at least even when I went to school, it started getting a little woke when I was in school. By the time I was in high school, but like, at least when I went to school, it was mainly just reading, writing, arithmetic. You know, basic history, real history. I didn't learn to hate myself because I was white. That wasn't a thing we were taught. Idiocy. There's a lot of idiocy in the world. Idiocracy. We'll be back with some live radio here in the next few minutes, in which I'll get into some of these other stories that are going on. I'm just getting stuff set up for that. We're going to get into. Got a little over a minute, and then I will be back, okay? So hang tight. We're getting there. Starting off with how Biden is genuinely, actually, like, real talk, Biden is actually claiming a right to your children. It's crazy. I can't, like, ugh. What a crazy, crazy time we're living in. Crazy president. We'll be back soon, everybody. Thank you again. Please, please, please like, share, subscribe. Um, yeah, JRC, I see what you're saying. Be a parent and not a friend. I think like it's a really fine line, and some of the best parents can find it. Where you need to be kind of a friend because you want to model solid relationships. But you also need to have that boundary where you're not so much of a friend that your kid doesn't respect you as an authority figure and a mentor. So I agree with you to an extent, but there needs to be a certain level of friendship, but it's just a very, very fine line. But we're coming back here now. So and we're back with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm your host, Kevin. Maybe I sound a little hoarse. That's because I was out in Bloomington at the Tailgates and Tallboys Festival, screaming my head off with Jelly Roll and Nickelback last night. Had a lot of fun, but don't worry, guys. I'm still here to give you all the best content. In my first hour, I talked a lot about the role of a father and fatherhood and the effects of fatherlessness. If you missed any of that, I even had an interview with my own father about an hour ago. You can go check all that out on my YouTube or on City's Facebook, City's 92.9 Facebook page, or my YouTube Speechless with Kev Phares. It's also on Rumble, too, if you want to check it out there. Please do. But we got some other things to talk about, and it kind of goes along with being a father, or at least just a parent in general. President Joe Biden this last week actually posted a video to Twitter. It's really interesting. It was actually from the White House. It was June 12th, so just over a week ago now, or just under a week ago now. And the comment on it is the LGBTQI community, the Biden-Harris administration has your back. And this is the video that was played. I'm pulling it up. So if you want to watch it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, anything like that, you can. But you can also just listen to it here. This is what the White House posted. Just listen to what Biden had to say.
These are our kids. These are our neighbors. Not somebody else's kids. They're all our kids. And our children are the kite strings that hold our national ambitions aloft. It matters a great deal how we treat everyone in this country. LGBTQ Americans, especially children, you're loved, you're heard, and this administration has your back.
Okay, well, let's go back to the beginning of that video one more time. Just listen what he has to say. Because here's the thing is the whole idea of, oh my gosh, like we support the pride movement, LGBTQI, whatever. That's expected from the Biden administration. It really is. And so that's not really what I'm focusing on. While I think it's a problem that we have an entire movement that gets such strong support, not only just verbally, but financially. It gets their own event on the White House lawn and their flag and everything. We might get into that a little bit later. But the point of this is what Biden has to say at the beginning of this video again.
These are our kids. These are our neighbors. Not somebody else's kids. They're all our kids.
No, they are somebody else's kids. There is such thing as somebody else's kids, and they are not your kids, Joe Biden. They are not your kids at all. I do want to show, I'm going to show it on the screen on Twitter and stuff, but if you look, actually, Elon Musk had a great response to this. I think it's hilarious. And it's the perfect response. It's exactly what we are all thinking. It's, you are the government. They are not your kids. They are not your kids. Joe Biden, yes, you have no claim to any kind of right over other people's children. And this obviously all comes in the purpose of this message is because there's obviously, I believe it's like 24, 25 states, if not more, that are banning like child sex change operations. Yeah. That's what this is coming from is that's why he says, well, and that's why he's working on the destruction of families. So what does this all have to do with? Well, this all has to do with a reliance on government, right? The purpose of the progressive left and pushing these kind of messages, because this isn't, I'm going to get to the purpose, but I also want to be clear. This isn't the first time that Biden and the left has tried to claim right over other people's children. He's insisted, Biden out of the Daily Wire, Biden has insisted that the nation's children belong to someone other than their parents. And he's done this before. In April, honoring the White House Teacher of the Year, Biden quoted her saying, quote, "There's no such thing as someone else's child. Our nation's children are all our children, As I often say, you teachers hold the kite strings that lift our national ambitions aloft. You really do. And this all is coming after there are many pushes for parents to have right over their children. To say that, no, my kid shouldn't be having a child sex change operation. No, my kid shouldn't be reading pornographic and sodomy books in the classroom. They shouldn't be having inappropriate sexual education at a young age. So the government wants to replace the parent so that they can push their agenda. They push this idea, no such thing as someone else's child. Bullcrap. This is why I say go homeschool your kid. Or there are some, I know, maybe I'll get some on this show, but I know there's groups of parents that are coming together and having like their own little schools that are basically like homeschool, but with other people, a school choice option. Because this is what's being pushed in our public school system. This is why I say we should, in an ideal world, in Kevin's utopia, everybody want to meet Kevin's utopia real quick, we get rid of the national or the Board of Education, the National Board of Education, the State Board of Education, localize it. So then parents can truly be represented at their school boards. And not just their school boards, but at the schools. So the teachers aren't pushing this woke crap on children. But instead, we have a president who wants to claim right to your children. What kind of crap is that? I don't know. It really makes me mad. It's like this is all coming also after in late March, House Republicans approved a Parents' Bill of Rights legislation that House Democrats mocked by calling it Politics Over Parents Act, when the bill aims to bring more transparency and accountability to education. That's what Republicans want, allowing parents to be informed, and when they have questions and concerns, to lawfully bring them to their school boards. But instead, the Biden administration, we know this about a little over a year ago, that the Biden administration and his FBI and DOJ went after parents saying that they were domestic extremists for trying to call out woke crap in their classrooms. Modern Renaissance man Ty Smith, another host on this station, got a lot of notoriety from fighting back and being a defender of his children at school boards. And that's all Republicans want, for parents to be able to be involved. But the government isn't even trying to hide it. The White House isn't even trying to hide it. They're trying to take parents out of the equation. In fact, J.B. Pritzker this last week, this is a big story that came out, signed law. Illinois, this is out of Fox News, Illinois becomes the first state in the U.S. to outlaw library book bans. An Illinois bill that outlaws the banning of books in public libraries in the state was signed into law by Governor J.B. Pritzker on June 12, 2023. The new Illinois law will go into effect on January 1st, 2024, and any libraries that don't follow the law will be ineligible for state funding. Attempts to censor library books reached a 20-year high in 2022, according to the American Library Association. So I'm going to get deeper into some of this story, but this is all coming because you have states that are trying to say, hey, you literally have pornography in the kids section that teaches kids about sodomy. We don't want that. We as parents don't want that. But J.B. Pritzker is coming in. And here's the thing. Republicans, there's all this crap that goes around that say people like DeSantis and other Republicans are anti-free speech and want to ban these books. No, we don't want to ban these books entirely. We're not saying they shouldn't be allowed to be sold or bought or in some level of the public sphere. What we're advocating for is age-appropriate reading and having the children's section be genuine children's content. That's all we're asking for. Anybody who says that Republicans want to ban books, we're anti-free speech, you're a liar, and you're misrepresenting the argument to try to gain cheap political points. That's what the Democrats are doing by trying to say Republicans want to ban books. No, that's bull crap. It's absolute crap. The Illinois Secretary of State, Alexa Giuliana, said, we're not saying that every book should be in every single library. But what this law does is it says, let's trust our experience and education of our librarians to decide what books should be in circulation. The new law comes into play as states across the U.S. push to remove certain books in schools and libraries, especially those about LGBTQ plus themes and by people of color. Okay, no. even this Fox News article gets it wrong. It says that Republicans want to ban some books that because they're by people of color. No, it's not that they're by people of color. It's because it pushes messages that say that white people are automatically racist, pushes hateful messages. And again, these aren't trying to be banned entirely. It's Republicans want age-appropriate reading. We don't need to be confusing young children with messages of white colonizers are the problem in society. We don't need to be pushing that kind of crap onto kids, but Democrats want to. Because Democrats have this idea in their head. There's this crazy idea in their little head. These Democrats, progressive, leftist, socialists, whatever you want to call them, that because of your perceived identity, because you perceive yourself to maybe be transgender or black or gay, lesbian, whatever, that is what gives you value in this world. That your perceived identity is what gives you value. But that's simply not true. Any rational human being would say that your value, there's a few different places that you could say that your value comes from, whether it be true. One, God. All men are created equal because they're all made in God's image. That's one way you could say that we derive value. Two is how you treat other people. If you're a respectful person. Look, if you're human garbage, if you're a scumbag, I don't care if you're a conservative. If you treat people like crap, walk all over them and use them, I don't got respect for you. I don't have time for you. But if you're a good person, I value you. If you're a good person, treat people nicely, treat people with respect, care about them, I have value for you. But to the left, it doesn't matter how you treat anybody. It doesn't matter your attention in this world. It doesn't matter who you are as a person on the inside. They care about shallow crap like what your skin color is, who you like to sleep with, or what you think you should have between your legs. That's what the left cares about. And so that's what these book bans are about, is pushing this identity politics crap onto children who are impressionable as is. Look, there's one children's book I was thinking about this weekend, and I think it perfectly encapsulates the left, right? It's If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. I think that's a book kids should read because it teaches you great things about why you can't give the left an inch. If you give the left an inch, they'll take a mile. If you give a mouse a cookie, he'll ask for milk. He'll ask for a ride home. He'll ask for everything. If you give a mouse a cookie, if you give the lefties a policy, if you let them have one thing, they're going to want all of it. And so that's what's going on here. That's what the lefties are doing. It's not about, I want to be 100% clear, it's not about Republicans being anti-free speech or anything. Look, Democrats, I believe it was in Utah, I got to find this story. Utah banned the Bible. This is real. This is a real thing. There's a Utah Bible ban. This is out of AP News. I just found it right now for you guys. Utah district's Bible ban spurs protests by parents and Republicans. Out of Salt Lake City, Utah, Republican lawmakers rallied with more than 100 Bible-toting parents and children at Utah's Capitol on Wednesday to protest a school district's decision to remove the Bible from middle and elementary school libraries in the wake of the GOP-backed, quote, sensitive materials law passed 2 years ago. Concerned parents and children holding signs that, quote, the Bible is the original textbook and, quote, remove porn, not the Bible, said they were outraged after Davis School District announced that a review committee concluded the Bible was, quote, too violent and vulgar for young children. There's children's Bibles. There's ones that kind of remove some of the things that might not be suitable for children, but get the same messages across. You can have children's Bibles still, but they want to remove the Bible from the school. People like J.B. Pritzker want to claim that Republicans are so anti-free speech. No. Here's the thing. Republicans want to remove porn. Democrats want to remove Jesus. Which side do you want to be on, everybody? Which side do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side that wants to promote pornography to children, or do you want to be on the side that promotes the Bible, the original textbook, and the guidebook for life? Which side do you want to be on? I know which one I'm on. Ask yourself that. Which side do you want to be on? We're coming up against a break here, everybody, but I just can't believe this. I can't believe that we have people that do not see the difference in banning legitimate pornography versus banning the Bible. It's the secular society pushing this kind of crap, everybody, and in a way, it's satanic. I talk about it a lot on this show. It's Satan doing his work, but it's through the guise of this is secularism, right? So again, ask yourself, which side do you want to be on? The side that bans the Bible or God's side? I see Jim's just said that in the comments. God's side. Which side do you want to be on? It's rhetorical, but if you want to, you can even call in and let me know. Text or call in 309-451-9299. Let me know which side you want to be on. Tell me. Because I know which one I'm on. And it's the winning side, everybody. We're going to win. And we'll be right back with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Kev, and we'll be right back. Okie dokie. Yeah, this is exactly, like I said, if you give a mouse a cookie, Jim, let us get married turned into, we will teach your children about our sexuality. Real flipping quick. Real quick. It turned into that. It's over a decade. And now we have, like I say, it's state-sanctioned homosexuality. That's what we got now. We have state-sanctioned homosexuality. I'm getting my articles ready for the next section. You guys are not going to believe what the American Civil Liberties Union did. You're just not going to believe it. We're going to be back here in a little bit, but I'm going to go through some of your guys' comments. I see you guys did a lot of cool stuff in there. We were talking a lot. Heck, he won't even claim his own granddaughter. Damn right. That's funny. Biden, my kids ain't your kids, mother. Yep. Darn right. Not necessarily homeschooling per se, but life education is nurtured in the home. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. I'm pissed off. I mean, I'm just done. Like there's so much crap going on. And I've been watching a lot of Bongino recently, and he fires me up. But there's just so much crap where it just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, okay, like I get the idea of like, hey, go do what you want behind your own closed doors. Screw who you want. Live your life. Marry who you want. Whatever. Just keep it away from me. I get that. Why it has to be consistently shoved down everybody's throat makes no sense to me. It's just a lot of idiocy. It's got to be that. But it's also got, I mean, like, that's the thing, though, is like, I call it idiocy just because I'm just PO'd about it, right? I call it idiocy, but it can't really just be idiocy. Because if it was just idiocy, then you can't have both evil geniuses and idiots, right? They can't be working. It can't be the same thing. So it's got to, I think idiots do some of the dirty work. But I really do think at the top, it's a new world order scheme, and part of it is pushing this kind of stuff. And I think it's a lot of it is making an uneducated society, because if what we're focusing on is whether or not we're going to teach kids about who they're sleeping with, then that means they're not learning reading, writing, and math. And if they're not learning that crap, not crap, but you know what I mean? They're not learning that stuff, then we have an uneducated populace. And an uneducated populace is easier to control. Let's get back onto the radio here. And we are back with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm your host, Kev. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You might be tuning in on your radio, and if you're driving, that's perfectly fine. But if you're just sitting at home listening on the radio or on your app, you could also be watching me live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, or Rumble. On Facebook and Twitter, it's Cities 92.9. I also have my own Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble and Twitch. That's Speechless with Kev Phares. last name Phares, because my parents and grandparents and everything just thought it'd be fun. And it's pronounced like Ferris Bueller, but spelled radically differently. But I just got so many stories here to cover. In the last segment, I talked all about Pritzker's crap, banning book bans in libraries and threatening their funding, their state funding, because they wouldn't, if they do try to actually make it so that kids are only exposed to age-appropriate material, God forbid, that we make sure kids don't see porn. Yeah, seriously. This is the real thing we're debating. But even bigger than that, the American Civil Liberties Union, which actually used to be a good organization back in the past, they used to fight for free speech and everything. It used to be a great organization. Now they just push woke crap. In a tweet, they're getting blasted right now because in a tweet, they came out in support of this dude. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the tweet for you. They're really mad about this guy getting executed in Florida. The state of Florida, this is out of the ACLU Twitter, the state of Florida never provided medically necessary gender-affirming care to Dwayne Owen, causing her, which is really a him, enormous suffering and violating her right to be free from cruel and unusual punishment for more than 30 years she was in state custody. And they go on to say, in legal papers that were drafted, Owen wrote that she should be accorded the essence of human dignity to be allowed to become, quote, who she was meant to be before her death. So basically having a gender transition surgery and enabling the mental illness. No one should be killed by the state. The time to end the racist, unfair, and cruel death penalty is now, according to the ACLU. Well, when you look, actually, Twitter fact-checked this stuff, and it says readers added context that they thought people might want to know. So Dwayne, the person they're describing that got executed, this transgender that got executed, Dwayne stabbed a 14-year-old, Karen Slattery, 18 times, killing her, then raped her corpse. He committed murder again years later. True story. So the ACLU is out here saying, oh, man, they didn't let this executed person, they executed this person who wanted to change their gender, man. They executed this person, this poor transgender, this victim. Oh, man. Turns out this is a child rapist. Seriously. This is who the left wants to defend. This is the problem with the left. They did this with George Floyd, too. They did this with that other dude that got killed on the subway recently by Daniel Penny. I forgot the guy's name that got killed, but you know what I'm talking about. This is what they do. You could probably actually find an instance of somebody not being able to get the gender transition surgery that they want that might actually be able to convince people. But instead, they pick the worst martyrs. The left picks the worst martyrs. They got George Floyd, who's a fentanyl addict. They got the dude that was harassing people on the subway and threatening people. And now they got a literal child murderer rapist that they're trying to defend. Seriously. And so the ACLU is getting absolutely slammed for tweeting the defense of this pedophile and murderer who was executed in Florida. The state of Florida, yeah, so I mentioned earlier that the ACLU said the state of Florida never provided medically necessary gender-affirming care to Dwayne Owen. Oh, man, medically necessary. Let's talk about that for a second. They claim that it's medically necessary. No, it's not medically necessary. This is a cosmetic surgery to enable your mental illness. It's not medically necessary. Owens, again, this is out of the Daily Wire, was sentenced to death for raping and stabbing a 14-year-old girl. My God. And then he raped a 38-year-old who he beat to death with a hammer, both of those happening in 1984. He also attacked two other women, but they both survived. But those two both fortunately survived. James Wood responded to this actor. He was in that Hercules animated movie. He responded to this on Twitter. He said, if he had been executed in a timely manner, it wouldn't have been a problem in the first place. Then the loved ones of his murder victims wouldn't have been the ones who actually suffered for 30 years. The only injustice is what conservative commentator Allie Beth Stuckey tweeted, said the only injustice in Owens's case, the only injustice is that it took the state 40 years to execute him. Yeah, this is a scumbag. And I'm not usually a big supporter of the death penalty. I don't believe the death penalty is necessarily creating the right message. But if there's somebody that deserves it, it's this guy. And I don't really care about what gender he thinks he is because he killed and raped a 14-year-old girl. Who cares what gender you think you are? You're a scumbag. You're a scumbag. Everybody, we got to take a break here, but we'll be right back with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Oh, I'm fired up, everybody. That one was a big one to me. I can't believe that one. Everybody, we're coming up with some more stories here. But that was, I just could not believe that. We're going to talk about the Oscars next and what's going on with them. I mean, we all know Hollywood is corrupt crap anyways right now. Maybe it's even worse than you think, though. It might even be worse than you thought originally. I got to take a breather. I'm just getting too worked up, getting too worked up. We got more coming up, though, everybody. Don't worry. Big show today. Big show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I just passed 500 subscribers due to some of the amazing people that are currently in my comment section and watching right now. Make sure you go subscribe, guys. It's only going to get bigger from here. We got more work to do. We got more messages to send out, and I need your help. So make sure to like, subscribe, and share. I'd appreciate it. I am getting spicy. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Really appreciate it. I'm surprised I don't have more hecklers in the chat today. I must have been spitting too much truth. They just couldn't handle it. Only makes sense. Whew. We'll be back here soon. I got a little over like a minute and a half, maybe close to 2 minutes. Thank you guys, anybody tuning in. Make sure, if you have not already, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel right up there at Speechless Cav. That's what we're working on, building that up, making sure we can keep getting these messages out there. Also, subscribe and like to everything Cities 92.9. Even if you're not from the Bloomington Normal area, we cover stories that hit on national narrative topics. We do cover a lot of, there's a teacher in Hayworth that had required reading and assignments that had to do with like the Pornhub documentary and different stuff. She's like 7th grade teacher, 8th grade teacher, and wanted to talk about pornography in her schools. That started here. We were the first ones to report that. Became a national news story. So everybody, make sure you always go check out Cities 92.9 on anything if you haven't already. It's a great radio station doing work that no one else does in Central Illinois. So I always got to shout out my main sponsor too, Paul Garcia Productions. He'll help your business get more business. Check it out in the comment section. He's doing great. Might have to do a Bud Light update too. Let me know in the comments. You guys want a Bud Light update? I got some stuff planned for it if you want. I can skip over it though if you don't. But I can do a Bud Light update too. Let you guys know how they're doing, because there's been a little bit more news out about them recently that I never covered. So yep. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back soon. Appreciate it. Just about 30-ish seconds, and then we're back. We're back soon. One more long segment, another short segment, then we'll be done for the day. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Had a great weekend. Hope you guys had a great weekend too. Everybody, make sure you say Happy Father's Day to your father. If your father's still not if your father's not with us, say a prayer, even if it wasn't a great relationship. I mean, there's always people to pray for, and prayer is the best way to do anything. Hey, Check Cash David, thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Father's Day for everyone it applies to. Absolutely. We're coming back here now, though. Live. And we are back with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm your host, Kevin. I'm just getting spicy today, everybody. First hour, I talked all about Father's Day. Make sure you say Happy Father's Day to your dad. If sadly your dad has passed away, please say a prayer. If you are a dad yourself, I want to thank you personally. Thank you for what you do, and be involved in your kid's life, especially if you're involved in your kid's life. You're the best, because it's necessary. We talked about fatherlessness and that epidemic. Thank you for, we need to make sure we are getting rid of that epidemic that's plaguing all communities. But I got other stuff to cover. And so I'm going to talk about the Oscars now, everybody. I know you might be fed up with Hollywood. I'm fed up with Hollywood. We're all fed up with Hollywood, but the Oscars has gone even more woke. Oscars voters, is out of New York Post. Oscars voters rip into ridiculous new diversity rules for Best Picture. If it were released today, The Godfather would possibly have no chance of winning Best Picture. That's because the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences is beholden to new inclusivity standards. That's right, inclusivity standards. So Best Picture isn't necessarily about actually being the best movie. It's what is it actually, what identity people does it have in it? Starting at the March 2024 awards, movies will not be considered for the Best Picture nomination unless they meet 2 out of 4 standards. Here's the 4 standards they got to meet 2 out of. One of them is featuring a lead or significant supporting character from a, quote, underrepresented racial or ethnic group. Got to have a main storyline that focuses on an underrepresented group, or at least 30% of the cast comes from 2 or more underrepresented groups. Women, ethnic minorities, LGBTQ, or disabled. A full outline of these standards can be found on the Academy's site. It's got some voting members of the Academy, people that actually are a part of the Academy, people that are in Hollywood, claiming that it's completely ridiculous. There's one director that fumed to the Post, said, I'm for diversity, but to make you cast certain types of people if you want to get nominated, that makes the whole process contrived. The person who is right for the part should get the part. Why should you be limiting your choices based on identity? But it's the world we're in. This is crazy. Absolutely. We don't have a merit-based society anymore. This is affirmative action for an award for Best Picture. Seriously. You got to have identity politics to have the Best Picture. It's not about having the best movie. This is why we see a bunch of movies. One of them, there's a horror movie. I haven't been able to see it yet. It's called Nefarious. Apparently it's anti-woke, it's pro-Christian, talks about the devil infecting people as some prisoner or something. Has awful critic reviews, but rave audience reviews. It's because Hollywood and these elites are out of touch with what's going on with the average American. That's what it is. These people are out of touch. 100%. Richard Dreyfuss, the guy from the Jaws movie, is also slamming the Oscars for these new diversity rules. Legendary actor Richard Dreyfuss condemned the inclusivity changes that will be implemented for next year's Oscars, saying the new standards, quote, make him vomit. This is an art form. It's also a form of commerce. It makes money, but it's an art, Dreyfuss said on PBS. He said, no one should be telling me as an artist that I have to give in to the latest, most current idea of what morality is. Dreyfuss, who famously played Matt Hooper in Jaws, claimed the standards were legislating people's feelings. Absolutely. What are we risking, he asked. Are we really risking hurting people's feelings? You can't legislate that. And you have to let life be life. And I'm sorry, I don't think that there is a minority or a majority in the country that has to be catered to like that. That's the other thing. How disrespectful is this to people that are of these traditionally oppressed groups that the Academy wants to talk about? How offensive is it to them to say, apparently you're not doing as much as we think you should in Hollywood. And so what we're going to do is make it so that to get considered for an award, movie studios have to put in a certain amount of people of identity backgrounds. What insanity is that? And how disrespectful is that? Why can't it just be whoever's best for the part gets the part? There's been other ways though Hollywood and the Oscars is going woke. So there's an actress, Jamila Jamil. She's part of this show that I really like. It's called The Good Place. And she came out, apparently, the Academy and other award shows are considering getting rid of gendered awards. You know, like Best Actor, Best Actress. And so the Good Place star came out against gender neutral award show categories, saying that it completely shuts out women. And she gets it half right. She still takes kind of a little bit of a politically correct stance in this. This is out of Fox News. Jamil wrote that the Oscars were looking to, quote, get rid of gendered acting awards and subsequently criticized liberals who, quote, write people off. Jamila Jamil came out against the gender neutral award show categories on Saturday, arguing that it would be better for non-binary people to have their own category in an Instagram post. What she said exactly, quote, was, would it not be better to give non-binary people their own category rather than opening the door for Hollywood to completely shut out women, given the known disproportionate amount of men versus women winning at award shows? In response to the Oscars, quote, looking to get rid of gendered acting awards. So she said, I don't think it would help women or non-binary people to minimize the amount of possible winners. We should be looking to expand the possibilities so that both gender non-conforming people and women have a fair shot in an industry that has for a long time struggled to treat others equal to men. So she still kind of takes a little bit of a woke route on it. But at least she recognizes that having this expansion of gender neutral crap diminishes the awards that women can actually win. Look, I don't know if she's the kind of person, she probably is. She's probably the kind of person that would praise a transgender man. So a transgender woman, a man who pretends to be a woman. She'd probably praise that dude if he won Best Actress or something like that. But at least she's coming out and understanding, hey, this gender non-conforming, gender non-binary, which is, in my opinion, crap. You are a gender. You're born as a gender. You have XY or XX chromosomes. You're a man or a woman, and you can't change that. But at least she recognizes that the expansion of this non-binary stuff hurts women. It does. It hurts women. So good for her for recognizing that. Now, we got a few more minutes left in this segment. I'm going to go in. There's been a little bit more news with Bud Light. Bud Light has come out, and there's been a lot more going on. The first thing is, so Bud Light, or Garth Brooks, the musician, Garth Brooks wants love and tolerance amid backlash when he said that he was going to have Bud Light served at his Nashville bars. And he called the boycotters of Bud Light, he called them a-holes. I'm not going to say the full word, but he called them a-holes. And now he's in damage control. This is out of Breitbart. Country music titan Garth Brooks responds to the backlash from fans after he called them, quote, a-holes for disliking his decision to serve Bud Light in his Nashville bar, with a call for people to come to his bar with a spirit of tolerance and an open mind. As Breitbart News reported, Garth Brooks sparked backlash from fans when he said that that at his Nashville bar called Friends in Low Places, amazing song, by the way, would be serving Bud Light, the beer that we all know has had a sharp decline. Yes, we're going to serve every brand of beer, Garth said. We just are. It's not our decision to make, he reportedly said in a Q&A with Billboard's Country Live in Conversation. He said, I want it to be a place you feel safe in. I want it to be a place where you feel like there are manners and people like one another. And yes, we're going to serve every brand of beer. We just are. It's not our decision to make. Look, I don't really care. I think he should take part in the Bud Light or in the boycott personally. But I thought the best was John Rich, Big and Rich, Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy. He reacted to Garth Brooks' decision to sell every brand of beer amid the Bud Light drama. Country music star John Rich out of Fox News weighed in on fellow musician Garth Brooks' decision. And he said, Garth Brooks has always been a guy that said, everyone come to my show. It's something that we love about Garth. He makes his music for everybody, and that's really what his music is about. You're making your music for everybody, beers for everybody too. If Garth is serving Bud Light in his bar, that's fine. Garth can do that. John Rich continued, Garth might find out not many people are going to order it. And at the end of the day, you have to put things in your establishment that people are going to purchase, and if you're going to run a successful business. So he might find that out. Consistently, so John Rich is basically like, go for it. Do what you want. Garth is a good guy who's trying to be nice. But the thing I still don't understand is why Garth had to call everybody who was boycotting Bud Light an a-hole. look, do what you want. I'm with John Rich on this one. Like, I have got my personal opinion. But, Garth, if you want to serve the beer in your bar, go for it. Whatever. Some friend in a low place might need a Bud Light. Maybe. I don't know. But it's just crazy to me that he comes out and calls everybody an a-hole. And I think John Rich has a point. Garth, you're probably not going to see many people ordering Bud Light anymore, and those that do are probably going to get a funny look. Maybe. Especially when now Bud Light has officially lost its top spot as the best-selling beer. Nielsen IQ data, this is out of Fox Business, provided to Fox Business by Bump Williams Consulting, showed that for the week ending in June 3rd, Bud Light sales were down 24.4% compared to a year ago. Over the last 4 weeks ending June 3rd, the data showed Bud Light sales were down 24.6% relative to the same period last year. Now it's been overtaken. No more the king of beers. Queerwiser, the queen of beers, is now gone. Modelo Especial has passed Bud Light as the number one best-selling beer brand, and on a dollar basis for the fourth week, the single-week period ending in June 3rd. Meanwhile, sales of Coors Light increased by 25.8%, and Miller Lite rose by 21.4% over the same period. Now, here's the thing. Modelo is now one of the best-selling beers. That's probably not really that great of a thing because that's also owned by Anheuser-Busch. But at least Coors Light and Miller Lite both raised their sales by over 20%. So keep going with Bud Light. Bud Light came out with an announcement this last week to Anheuser-Busch. Anheuser-Busch announces support for frontline employees and wholesale parents. It's a pretty short announcement right here. Maybe I'll pull it up on screen real quick so you guys can read along if you'd like, if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, anything like that. So Anheuser-Busch came out with this announcement saying, we recognize that over the last 2 months, the discussion surrounding our company and Bud Light has moved away from beer, and this has impacted our consumers, our business partners, and our employees. We are a beer company, and beer is for everyone. Today, we are announcing 3 important actions as we continue to move our business forward. Their 3 important actions are, first, they're investing to protect the jobs of our frontline employees. That's the only people in this whole boycott that I felt bad for, is the people that are frontliners, the ones driving the trucks, the ones working in warehouses, in production, stuff like that. Those are the people I felt bad for. It sucks, but we really need to hit the people at the top. That's where it matters. Second, they're providing financial assistance to their independent wholesalers to help to support their employees. Good. Help them out too. Third, to all our valued consumers, we hear you. Do you? Do you, Anheuser-Busch? Do you really hear us? They said our summer advertising launches next week. They're referencing how they said, we're going to support first responders and we're going to support the military and veterans to try to cheaply win back and pander to their conservative base. But their summer advertising is launching next week, and you can look forward to Bud Light reinforcing what you've always loved about our brand. And it's easy to drink and easy to enjoy. As we move forward, we will focus on what we do best, brewing great beer and earning our place in moments that matter to you. Here's to future with more cheers. Look, here's the thing. Brendan Whitworth, the CEO of Anheuser-Busch, that put this out, all people wanted, it's too little too late now, but what people wanted originally, all you had to do is come out and apologize. And there were people from the very beginning that said boycott into oblivion. And for a little bit, I was advocating for let's take an apology. But now it's too little too late. We're 3 months after this thing. Maybe 2.5, something like that. And you say in your statement, you say, we hear you. But no apology ever to women. No apology for abandoning your consumer base. Yes, we have moved the conversation away about beer because this isn't about beer. This is about you distorting and perverting your brand to something that no one who supports you would ever want. Idiots. I don't know. That's our Bud Light update. We still got another segment coming up. Stay tuned for more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Ugh. All right. I'm going to have to get some water after this show. Throat's drying up. Let's see what we got for the next segment. I covered this next one. I'm just going to end it out. I covered this in one of my YouTube videos, but I think it's good for radio, all about I'm going to cover for my last segment about the Human Rights Campaign declaring a state of emergency for the LGBTQ people. I think it's interesting. So we're going to cover that to end out the show. If you guys should watch that whole video. I did it about like the tranny exposing himself at the Biden White House Pride event. You should go watch that one if you haven't. It's a really good video I worked on. That was mostly cut for time stuff. But I think this Human Rights Campaign thing is fascinating. And I think people should know, especially as we're still in Pride Month. But it seems like we're kind of winning Pride Month. I saw Starbucks even started taking down its decorations and stuff. I couldn't believe it. Halfway through Pride Month, they were taking down their decorations. So look, guys, I think maybe I think the pendulum might be starting to shift the slightest bit. They're not going, the lefties, the progressive zealots that are pushing all this kind of crap. They're not going anywhere. And then they're going to put up a fight, but we might actually start being to win a little bit. America has become the next Sodom and Gomorrah. Absolutely. In some ways. We're still trying to protect her. We love her. We love America. We'll be back soon, guys, with more Speechless. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're on anything other than YouTube, please, if you wouldn't mind going to subscribe to my YouTube channel at some point. I do off-air content there. So stuff that's not heard on the radio. And I don't put it anywhere else besides my YouTube. So, and my Rumble too. Everything does also, for the most part, go to my Rumble. So if you are tuned in on Rumble, thank you guys so much. I see I got a few viewers there. I don't see any comments. Maybe you guys tried to or something, but make sure you comment, like, subscribe wherever you are. I'm just looking at everything I got here. Live streaming my channels. If you guys didn't see my Riley Gaines interview, that was really good last week. I love talking to Riley. She was great. We got some other stuff we might be working on together here soon. So make sure you guys check that out if you didn't. This is another good one. Yeah, support them. Absolutely. And Anheuser-Busch supporting them would be good. If you guys missed any of this show today, make sure you go back. I had the interview with my dad at the beginning of this. My dad, my biological father, about just being a father. You know, you might learn a little thing or two about me too by watching it. But you go check that out. Beginning of this video. After obviously we're done here, you can go check that out. Thank you all for tuning in. Really appreciate it. We'll be back here in the next minute or two. To end out the show. Okay, well, we're coming back here in about 30 seconds. Hope you guys are enjoying this show. Share it on your Facebook or your Instagram, anything like that if you really like it, and encourage others to like, subscribe, and share as well. I really appreciate you guys watching and commenting and being involved. I love it. And we are back with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm your host, Kev, and we just got one more segment here to wrap up everything, but I want to start off with, it's a state of emergency, everybody. It's a state of emergency. The Human Rights Campaign, which is a far-left nonprofit, declared its first ever state of emergency on June 6th for LGBTQ plus people. Yeah, really. And I'm sure, because this is Pride Month and everything, and so I'm sure you can guess as to why it's such a state of emergency, right? You know, exactly. Like we see every day. LGBTQ people are being so persecuted, right? They're big victims. Biden says they're the most courageous people there are. They must be going through something really hard, right? No, they say that it's because there's over 500 pieces of legislation that have been passed or that have been introduced, and over 75 that have been passed that are, quote, anti-LGBTQ. Well, you want to know the reality? You want to know the reality? Anti-LGBTQ can usually, depending on the legislation, but for the most part, you can replace it with one of any three of these options. Replace it with being pro-woman, pro-children, or pro-objective truth, and it means the same thing. Because a lot of these pieces of legislation are trying to support women, trying to support children, protect children, and support the idea that there's an objective truth that men are men and women are women and you can't change that. Those would be better labels. But the legislation that they're referring to declare the state of emergency is things like Florida's anti-groomer bill. The one that everybody calls it the don't say gay bill, that kind of crap. No, it's the one that prevents teachers from talking about their sexuality in the classroom. Yeah, that's what apparently is super detrimental. And they also have other legislation that they talk about, and a lot of it has to do with the transgender ideology. They say that transgender sports bans, child sex change bans, and saying that you have to use the bathroom with your real biological sex are pushing trans people to, quote, this is a real thing that they said, quote, to. They said, because of those legislations, trans people are losing access to life-saving medical care, comprehensive and inclusive education, and activities, spaces, and facilities. This is a bold-faced lie from the Human Rights Campaign, everybody. It's a bold-faced lie. First off, they said that because of transgender sports bans and having you use the bathroom with your biological sex, they said that you're losing access to life-saving medical care. That's not true. Doctors have a legal obligation through things like the Hippocratic Oath to treat anyone who is dying with life-saving medical care. If you are dying and a doctor refuses you service, they are opening themselves up to billion-dollar lawsuits, possible jail time, losing their license. So no one's getting denied life-saving medical care. What they're trying to say is you can't get the cosmetic surgeries or the hormone pills if you're a kid. That's what they're saying. Wanting puberty blockers or to remove your body part is not life-saving. It's cosmetic. So what is this whole state of emergency about that the Human Rights Campaign is pushing out here? It's a publicity stunt, everybody. It's a cry and whine from a prominent progressive organization to push an un-American agenda, an anti-woman, an anti-children, and an anti-truth agenda. It's a publicity stunt. There's no actual state of emergency here. They're just trying to make headlines in their first ever state of emergency declaration. That's what they're doing. It's crap. It's a publicity stunt and it's crap. Nothing else to say about that. But we're coming to the end of the show, guys. I really appreciate you guys listening, tuning in, and supporting me. Thank you so much. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, and share on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. YouTube is Speechless with Kev Phares. You can find our city's Facebooks and everything. You can even find me on Rumble, Speechless with Kev Phares. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back next week from 3 to 5 on Sunday with more Speechless. Thank you so much. We'll be back. Okay, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this show this week. Thank you so much. We will be tuning out here. But don't forget to watch the whole show. Go back and watch the beginning if you missed any of it. I'll be back next week. Hopefully my voice will be a little bit better. Thought I kind of had a little bit of a Bongino sound to me this week. Maybe not. I don't know. You guys can let me know in the comments. But please, please, please like, subscribe, share. Make sure if you're subscribing on YouTube, ring that notification bell. Set it to all because we don't know how much YouTube tries to shadow ban me or anything like that. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back next week with more Speechless on... I just wanted to see these comments real quick. Mr. Phares, some people need talking about, and you're doing a great job of it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll be back next week, 3 to 5. Probably have some videos throughout the week of some stuff I couldn't get to in the show or just didn't line up. So we'll be back, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for watching Speechless. I'm your host, Phares.